Welcome to another episode of the Get Out Swim podcast. I'm your host, Seamus T. Quinn, and today I'm joined by the one and only Joao Mescolote. Joao, thanks for hopping on.
Wow, man, we're back.
We're back.
What was it, like 2 years?
Yeah,
About
we
two
were just
years.
we were just saying. I think it's been almost 2 years since we first did this back when
Sweet,
the Get Out Swim was just starting. So
sweet. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to chat. And maybe at the end we'll announce what's going to be happening for a couple of episodes. So
definitely. Yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah, Zhao. What's cool is that we connected from mutual friends, Ethan and Caleb. When I talked to them on the podcast, they said if there's one guy you got to get on here, it's got to be Zhao. He's a smart dude. He's doing great stuff in swimming, and so that was the whole reason. We connected was actually through them, and then it was cool because the summer we all got together at NC State camp. It was my first time there. Um, and I don't know, I just had a blast like for those 2 weeks. I think we had a great time. Got to hang out outside of swimming too, which was like refreshing, but at the same time got into some really good conversations, just like we have on the podcast. So it was cool to finally, get together, meet in person. And I hope to do that with, more people on the podcast because I think that's the best part of this. So, um, yeah, but dude, like what you made a recent move. So where, you were living in North Carolina, working with the NC State team and doing clinics and whatnot, working alongside Ethan, but you recently made a move. So tell kind of us about where you are situated now and kind of what you're doing.
yeah, it was sort of like unexpected move in some ways. But yeah, so made the move to Oceanside, California. That's where I'm living right now. My wife, she's in the military, so we were actually waiting to see where she was finishing her residency up until July, and we were sort of like waiting to see where she would be stationed, to because she had to pay 4 years of her time after she finished residency, and she ended up getting stationed down here in San Diego. And yeah, it was kind of like I knew that it could happen, but when she actually got the official, notice, then it became a little more serious, and I had to decide of what would be my move when I would possibly come out here, and ended up moving here in August, end of August, or no, end of September. Right now it's 2025, so it's been great. I mean, I've lived here before. I've lived in Southern California before. That's where I started coaching at Concordia University in Irvine.
Mm,
And so I was already very familiarized with the area. I have a lot of friends in the area. So as far as like knowing the terrain and knowing where I'm going to, it was a pretty easy move. Honestly, we're 5 minutes from the beach. I'm living in Oceanside, which has a very small town vibe to it,
mm,
which it to me is kind of like what I'm usually looking for. I'm not a huge fan of major cities and places like that, but yeah, I'm loving it. I'm still getting situated. I'm still kind of like in that transition period where I didn't want to rush here and try to find a club job or try to find a university job.
mm.
Luckily, like I have my clinics and I have my online work that I do, and that kind of like helps me a little more financially. And so, kind of taking my time as far as being on deck every single day and committing to a team, uh, and staying a little more free now to be my wife's support system. She just started this new routine. She just started this new job with the military. She's a doctor, and so she goes to different hospitals, and they live a pretty brutal life. So I my one goal was to come here and become more of like a support system. But obviously, one of the jokes I had also with like Ethan and Caleb and those guys is like I can't be too far from the deck.
Yeah.
So even before moving here, I already started planning a couple of different projects. We have our little project that we're gonna announce later, and some other things. Like I started vlogging on my trips for clinics, and just through friends, I started doing kind of like day in life vlogs on different teams. And as soon as I moved here, I went to check out all my friends' programs around here. So a couple weeks ago, I went to see CST, where Sam Hoekstra is doing an amazing job. Just took over as head coach. Then I went to train with ASP and Sean Kao and see what the pros are doing over there. Sean actually trained me for a couple of months while I was in Raleigh. So I went up there to kind of like see in person the cool things that they're doing. And the idea that I had was to kind of like leverage those relationships and show people, like leverage my skills with social media and video and all of that,
Mm.
and kind of like showing people. So yeah, we're taking baby steps. I'm going pretty easy and fast at the same time, but try not to uh, rush into committing to a team, because I do miss it already. I do want to be on deck and have a group and kind of like test ideas out. But um, yeah, it's crazy. It's I've been here for about a month and a half. It seems like I've been here for a whole year, because I'm still like, I travel a lot. I've traveled 2 or 3 times for clinics already, and
Yeah, you're moving.
I go to San Diego to watch a practice, and I go to Irvine to watch a practice. So I'm always kind of like on the road. There's always something like during my day, but yeah, just staying busy and having fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and for those who don't know, I mean, Zhao is like for sure one of the best young coaches out there. I think that uh, seeing kind of your knowledge and experience at NC State opened my eyes to how much you really go in depth with researching and just reading and talking to coaches and working with swimmers um and you're the real deal. And I think that it must be, yeah, but you must wanna, like you said, work with eventually work with a team that's a little bit more consistent, because even, like, when you were at NC State, I remember, like, someone like Drew Sales who's there now, like, you really helped transform his start, and I'm sure over time, it's nice to be able to see that work compounding towards a goal, and having that consistency with swimmers. I mean, that's my favorite part of coaching is, like, seeing the payoff of, like, actually teaching them how to do something, as opposed to
Yeah,
clinics,
I think, yeah, like I love the clinics and I love the format of clinics because I wasn't an Olympic champion. I wasn't an Olympic champion like coach, but through the clinics, traveling across the country and getting to see like what swimming looks like in different places.
Mm,
For example, this past weekend I was just in Nebraska,
yeah,
and when
Nebraska.
the company that I contacted the company contacted me, they're like, "Hey, do you want to do this clinic in Nebraska?" And I'm like,
Wait,
"Yes." Like I want to
say it
see. I was like,
again.
"Nebraska?
Where is it?
How
Where is
do you
it?
say it? Nebraska? Nebraska?"
Nebraska. Nebraska.
But like seeing what swimming is like in those areas, because I'm from Brazil, like I've never been to areas like that. So going to those places and doing the clinics and trying to provide that experience and trying to provide value to the kids is really fun. And I try to create as much of an experience as possible to show the kids and the parents that yes, swimming fast is the goal. Going to the Olympics might be the goal, but swimming can give you so much more.
Mm,
And so that's kind of like the idea that I try to implement in those clinics. Whereas, as a coach, we do have that need of like testing different theories that we come up with. And,
yeah.
we love coming up with different theories. So we try to test those things with a group, right? With kids that you're working with consistently. And I think the easiest way for me to learn something is by making a mistake, right? Like it's a
Mm,
clear, like, and so like doing private lessons and doing and having my own group, I can test those things out in a way that, like, if I mess up something, I can easily fix right away.
Correct it.
I can recognize that, so it's a little more difficult when you see a kid, you do one private
Just
lesson, or you see a kid in one clinic, and then maybe 6 months later you see that kid, and then
right.
so yeah,
What
so I do miss having a group.
For sure. What are, speaking about the clinics, because you've traveled around the country, like what are some things you've learned from doing, like the amount of clinics that you've had, or just like parts that you get to really like enjoy and kind of learn from as you do more of these clinics?
I think number one would be different areas of the country, and like how swimming is kind of like popular.
Mm,
uh to be very fair, I was not expecting to have like a smooth clinic as much as I had this past weekend in Nebraska. But yeah, kids were great, parents were great. I think there's great coaches as well. Like the coaches from the club that hosted stayed, and we chatted a lot, and they ended up helping me out, and it was great. I've definitely been in areas of the country where I expected to have like a very smooth clinic, and ended up being the complete opposite, to where
mm,
you see all across the board like kids that struggle doing a streamline and pushing off the wall correctly, which is like the most basic thing. So it is interesting to see um those things, but it's also really cool to see like the mentality of the athletes as well. When you go do a clinic in, let's say, like North Carolina, maybe California, um like New Jersey, you see a lot more of like a competitive drive in the
yeah, they
kids.
want to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you also compare like which states have the fastest kids, are those states. So I've definitely noticed that, is that like the competition naturally like flows around, whereas like you go to a state that's a little more, or Indiana. I lived in Indiana for 2 years, and I did a lot of clinics around that area. Like kids go to these clinics and like they want to get fast.
Yeah.
Whereas you go do a clinic in a state that swimming isn't that popular, maybe it's, yes, they're there to learn some skills and to have fun, but it's way less like, there's way less pressure on themselves
Totally.
to get a cut or to swim extremely fast. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just
No.
kind of like what I've noticed with the types of questions I get at the end of the clinics. And I think
Mm,
that's very interesting, because I usually open 15 to 20 minutes at the end for questions from parents and kids. And I've definitely noticed like the way that they ask the questions. Like sometimes you go to a state like Indiana, you get 10-year-olds asking you about nutrition and how they can, you know, work on their nutrition to perform better.
yeah.
And that's when you go, oh wow, like they mean business.
Yeah.
I try to kind of steer them away from that if they're too young, asking about strength and
Lifting.
conditioning and nutrition. And I'm like, hey, do the rule of thumb, like do what, like as far as nutrition, like what's healthy, what's not, but don't get too caught up on that. If you want to have ice cream once a week, have ice cream. But I try to kind of manage that, but you can definitely see based on the
The
state.
difference.
Yeah.
What do you want them to like? Because you do these a lot. Like, what do you want them to take away usually? Like, what, when you're there? What is your job? Like, what do you want them to take away?
Interesting. I think the biggest thing I try to get, like I said, like I don't take the approach of like, hey, everyone here has to be an Olympic champion, everyone here has to train to be an Olympic champion. I do try to instigate a little more passion for being curious.
Mm,
That's kind of like my one thing. I think that's how I easily kind of like transition from athlete into coaching, is that I've always been curious, right? Like I think to me, some of the best coaches out there are just extremely curious, and
yeah.
they just are constantly asking questions and trying to better their own methods. So that's one of the biggest things I try to instigate. One thing that I've been recently started doing in my clinics, like maybe the past 2 years, is using the whiteboard. And before we even do any skill, I ask them what they think that could help them, or what they think is important for the specific topic. And based off what the group says, that's what I work with. So
Interesting.
yeah,
So you'll let them kind of guide it in
I
terms of,
let I let the group that's in front of me guide, and then instead of telling them what to do, I usually ask them and instigate that curiosity.
yep,
And
yep.
I've been noticing like a massive difference in the way that, how they retain the information later on. Because
Mm,
at the end of the clinic, I asked them like everything we worked on, and it's kind of like very, very different from the clinics that, when I started, when I didn't have kind of like it figured out that well. Um, it was completely different. Sometimes I would talk about something for 2 hours and get to the end and ask them what we talked about, and they no idea.
no
And
clue.
now you see more of like, yeah, we talked about this because, and then you can see them connecting the dots, which is really
Mhm.
fun. Yeah,
That's yeah. That makes me think. Yeah, how the ways to actually instigate uh, your y- y- your thinking as a especially as a kid, as a young kid, is to like give them kind of trick them into ways of like asking questions or maybe sharing amongst each other in little groups of time and then presenting it back. Like if you're just telling them constantly what they should be doing, oh, streamline here, flip here, they're not really going to retain much. I've noticed that with the kids that I work with too. Like
yeah,
I'm the one who's like when I pull them out to describe what set we're going to do, I'm like, hey, what do you think we should be working on? Like we're in November, we've been practicing for 2 months. What should we be working on and thinking about during our backstroke today? And it's so much better than me being
yeah,
constantly telling them. So, anyways, I think
yeah,
that's definitely something that's worth thinking about when you're in a coaching position for sure.
yeah. Because
Um,
I mean, it's all teaching, right? Like
it's teaching.
coaching and teaching are basically the same thing. And so I, it also became a lot easier for me to coach using the whiteboard because I'm someone that's visual. Like I need to see,
Yeah.
I need a printed workout, I need the workout to be written somewhere. I absolutely hated when growing up, like when my coaches would just yell the set and it would be like 5 or 6 different items and like I'm already lost. So I
Yeah.
started using the whiteboard to kind of like tailor to those kids as well.
Mm,
Um, and just kind of like being a little more thoughtful of like, okay, maybe where are those kids at in relationship to this clinic, right? Like
yeah.
sometimes we have 8, 9, 10 year olds that they kind of want to be there, but not really. And it's Saturday, 8 a.m. and it's really the water's cold. And if I keep getting them in and out of the water, I'm gonna lose them really quick. So I try to be very like, all right, whiteboard, what are we working like? We're working on underwaters. Who can tell me some important things about underwaters? Boom, boom, boom. All right, we've established those. All right, let's work on those now. Then I'll get in the water, demonstrate, do drills. All right, come out again, whiteboard. What about, within this topic here of underwaters, what about this, and this? Oh yeah, like, okay, yeah, like, all right, awesome. Get back in the water. Let's do a couple
Right.
more
Mm.
drills for that, thinking of those things. Um,
You kind of
so
layer it that way. Yeah.
yeah, I love layering it, and I mean you've seen it in person, like the way I layer like my starts progression, and
Yep.
because that way I not only makes it a lot easier to understand, but like I can tailor it to whichever group. So the same starts progression that I did with Drew, as you mentioned, it was the same drills that I do with 8 year olds in my clinics, but then I just pick and choose, right? Like the difficulty, right? You don't go
Yeah.
to the gym and put a squat bar on your back and start squatting, right? Like you start maybe with like a body weight
Body
squat,
weight.
with a
Yeah.
goblet squat, and then you progress. So I'm giving the same cues and I'm thinking the same progression, but then I just tailor to what each clinic needs. I've done clinics where the starts portion, let's say I have an hour and a half. I've done clinics where I did 10 drills. And this past weekend for the starts portion, I think we did 4 or 5 drills. But they got the same out of it because that's where they were at. Those are the drills that would make a difference for them. And based off like the skills that they had as well. So I try to combine
Interesting.
and tailor to what they have going on.
They need. Yeah, one question I always think about is like, how much should I be throwing at them as far as like freestyle drill progression? I'm giving them 10 drills of working on their catch, or butterfly. I'm giving them 8 different drills as opposed to just like giving, yeah, kind of like 3 drills, make it simple, and then layer it from there day after day
Yeah.
after day. So I guess when it's a clinic, you're saying maybe you'll do 10 drills one clinic, 5 drills the next clinic, and they get the same out of it. So do you just gauge that, how much you want to give as far
Right.
as different things to think about based on the group you're working with?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of like the definition of good coaching for me
Mm.
is coaching the athletes that are in front of you, right? I may know the science, but I have to also work with reality.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can like for I'll use this as an example. That one of the parents that had kids in the younger session and the older session this past weekend, he gave me this feedback, which felt really good because that's exactly what I try to do. I just kind of like don't tell anyone, but I naturally do that. So he was like, he told me, he's like, it's incredible how you gave this same exact clinic to both ages and they did completely different exercises and they all got better. I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
that's exactly what I want to do because so for example, I'll run through like what my clinic looks like from the
Yeah.
beginning to end. I'll go
Yep.
about I go a little introduction, right? To
Hmm.
and during the introduction, I try to gain the kids, right? Because imagine if you were 8 years old, it's a Saturday morning, you don't want to be there. How am I going to gain you for the next 3 hours, right? Like, how am I going to gain your attention and your respect for the next 3 hours? So, yeah, so you do have to say big words and you have to connect with them, right?
Yep.
I was one of the biggest things I say, it's like, hey guys, yeah, I'm not Caleb Dressel, but I swam in college against Caleb Dressel, and I was, we're the same class. We swam against each other all the time, and you already throw a big name that they're like, "Oh, okay, this guy swam against Caleb Dressel. He might be, let me pay attention to what he's saying." And then you go, talking, introducing yourself. Then I go 15 to 20 minutes dry land where having kind of like the strength and conditioning background, I kind of can see where they're at and the progression that I put them through helps me understand how well they move, right? Like what's their flexibility level, what's their mobility
Mm.
level, what's their core control like? Because as they're doing the dry land, yes, we want to get ready to get in the water, but I'm only seeing them for that one day. So I have, about 15 minutes to decide what they can do or not without losing, like, because I have parents on the
Y-
stands also paying attention. I have
Yep.
sometimes I have a group of kids that one of them is really, really fast, and one of them just started swimming last week. So, how do I make sure that everyone gets better within this next 2 hours, right? So, when I go through my dry land, I try to assess all of that in my head and
Hmm.
know, like, okay, they're not very good with, maybe balancing off one foot. So, maybe this one start drill that I usually do is I'm already throwing it out of the window. Okay, maybe they do have good jumping abilities. They know how to jump very well. This is going to be good because I can skip like the most basic. Like I don't have to do 10 reps of the most basic drills. I can do two and they're going to get what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Um, so that's what I do. And then at the end, and then we go through the progression. And then at the end, we do like a little Q&A. But the most important thing I try to like I said, it's throughout the progression, I'm explaining what we're doing and what we're trying to do, like what we're
Mm.
trying to achieve with whatever topic, like with freestyle, backstroke, turns, starts, whatever it is. It's just kind of like helping them understand, not only just going, all right, we're going to do this drill now. And now we're going to do this other drill.
Yeah.
And I've seen clinics ran by like other clinicians or coaches or former athletes or current athletes that they do have a lot of good information, but it's very scattered in a very poor organizational way.
Yeah, you need
Um,
a flow. You need to
which
flow.
yeah, so maybe I do still have like some things that are a little scattered, um, but I try to be as aware as possible of like not just the drills in itself, but providing an experience that will make the kids be curious, because maybe they're not going to be able to do the drills correctly that day because they just not there like skill level wise.
Yeah.
But I want them to be curious and leave curious to get to their practice and be like, hey coach, like ask their coaches. I always instigate them to like put their coaches
Mm,
on the spot, talk to your coach, be respectful in the way that you do it, but talk to your coach.
yeah.
Hey coach, can you look at my start? Can my parents send you a video of my start so you can do a quick analysis? Because I've met way too many coaches that always tell me like, oh, we don't make enough money, we don't do this. To me, like when I'm a club coach, I'm offering those extra, like obviously like I want to provide as much as I can to my athletes, but like I'm also offering extra value to my
Yeah.
athletes, to the point of like, if a parent wants to do a one-on-one private lesson where the kid can get full attention, or video analysis, it's justified by paying a little
Mm,
extra, right? So yeah, I try to instigate the kids to be curious, because you're a little younger than me, but when I grew up, like we had I remember like the way I developed my start was like in a concrete block, and we had one YouTube video of Michael Phelps doing a start. Like this
yeah.
is I'm talking about 2006, 2007. There's one video on YouTube, right? And we would watch the video at home and then go to the pool. We had no phones, we had nothing to film, and me and
Hmm.
my friends would just go to the pool on the Saturday afternoon and just tell each other, oh, maybe do this, maybe do that, and try to replicate just based off your friend's feedback. Because my coach wasn't there either. And we would do that repeatedly, like being curious about like which movements to explore and things to do different. And so that's what I try to instigate the most, is like curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by SwimSmart. SwimSmart is an incredible company that has a plethora of tools, including designs like the push paddle, the power harness, the squeeze line, and an informative book like The Biology of Swimming. If you're interested in learning how to level up your swimming, go to swimsmarttoday.com to find the best tools for you. Use code GETOUTSWIM for a discount on your purchase. Thanks again, SwimSmart. It's yeah. I mean, the swimmers that I work with who ask the questions usually are the ones who I notice are going to get the most out of the group and the actual training, because they're the ones who are curious and asking the questions. So definitely something to think about. Talk to me about these vlogs that you're doing. Like what prompted? I know you said you wanted to connect with friends and sort of like other colleagues in the coaching space and get to visit them. But like, yeah, what prompted other than that, like the idea to do vlogs and kind of share this stuff out to people?
I mean, it's kind of like in addition to what I already do, right, with the Instagram. It started off with just the idea of my Instagram started off with the idea of being a portfolio of like my workouts.
Mm,
And then it shifted towards like sharing drills and sharing resources and connecting with brands. And then it kind of became its own thing. Um, and now, having a little more time, I've never been really good with like editing videos and all of that. Like for YouTube, I'm
yep.
okay with like Instagram formatting. And I
Hmm.
never, if you've noticed, like I've never talked that much on my videos. I'm still kind of like awkward talking on camera. So the video was kind of like out of my comfort zone. The first one I did, I barely talked. I didn't even, my face wasn't even on the video.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
second one, I kind of was on the video. And then the third one, I'm talking more. And
Start
so
growing.
I'm growing kind of like that
Hmm.
comfort. But yeah, so it's swimming has been bleeding for a while, right? Like the sport in general, like here in the US, as like the college format and the NCAA format has been suffering a little bit for a while. And so that's kind of just my way of like contributing and giving back a little more. And I don't want to stay away from it, but as far as priority, like I would love to give a little more priority to programs because I have friends that are coaches and athletes in all programs, right? Like from the national champion program to the program that just started this year.
Yeah.
So I have access to coming to contacting these coaches and athletes and coming in and being able to film. So I thought that it was basically my duty to the community to kind of like open that space for the people that I think do a good job, that the people that I love and that I want to see thriving. And so that's kind of like the idea behind the vlogs. I know that I'm a swim nerd. That's the type of content that I like to watch.
Me too.
So
Yep.
it's to me, it was kind of like an easy, like it's basically my medium of communication. Like you like to connect with coaches and athletes and be curious like that, like and
Yeah.
through a podcast, right? And I like videos like a day in life type of videos. So that's what I've been doing. And it started off pretty simple. I went to VMI, had
Shout
my
out.
first one with my best friend, Coach Scott Thacker. And I originally went to visit him to say goodbye because I was driving to California. And I was
Mm.
like, I bought a camera and I was like, all right, let's try this vlog thing. And it worked super well. So then
But you ended
I
up
did it.
coaching the sprint group.
Yeah, yeah. Also, yeah. I was like trying to film and trying to just be like a fly on the wall, asking him how the program went.
And he
And he's
said,
like,
get in
hey,
there.
take the sprinters and go do something. And I was like, all right. But yeah, as soon as I got here, Sam Hoekstra just took over CST, has been
Mm.
doing an amazing job, is a good friend. And I said, Sam, can I come vlog? Yes. So went from a mid-major Division 1 military school to a club team that has a brand new head coach. And then I went to ASB, which is a pro group that, just trains kind of like
High
in a completely
performance.
different way. Right. And then now this past weekend, I did two actually. I did UCSD
Hmm.
here in San Diego as well.
That's
Through
out now.
doing through connecting with Sam and CSD, I met Coach Marco, which
Mm.
led me to like, wow, like another mid-major program with a good history from the past 5 years. They just shifted from Division 2 to Division 1. So I thought it was a good thing to show. Yeah, and I was in Nebraska and my flight got canceled, and I saw the opportunity to connect with another friend that was about an hour away. So I just took the car, drove an hour away, and he just took over the program at Midland University as well, Victor, who I also met in the NC State swim camp about 3 years ago.
Nice.
So, just kind of like connecting with friends, and Victor has always had great ideas, and we always thought kind of like the same way. And
Mm.
I'm super pumped for him to be the head coach of NAIA program as well, which a lot of people unfortunately don't know that the NCAA has three divisions, and then there's a complete different league
Different. Yeah.
that's the
Body.
NAIA.
Hmm.
So Victor, he swam for an NAIA school, and now he coaches, and so he could explain that a little better for people that are sometimes not very familiarized with it. So yeah, so it's kind of like going around it. Like I don't have an agenda. I don't go in with questions at all. I don't write anything down. I just ask the coach, hey, when is a good day that it would be fun, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
there's definitely days that It's like, okay, we're just doing like a long aerobic today, and maybe it's not that fun to film, but I just ask, hey, when is a good day to film? I show up and then I get rolling, and I just kind of try to capture like the team culture. And yesterday was, or this week's vlog was really fun at
Mm,
UCSD. It was, they were doing some like really like elite sprint stuff, which I love. And it's outside, and they're doing running dives and power racks, and they put a wall in the 12 and a half of the pool, and they're doing 12 and a half sprints. And so, like that's fun. And it's like a lot of people don't know what goes on like daily on those programs. So it's kind of like the goal with the vlog is to kind of highlight and show, give the school the space to use that as kind of like a recruiting tool as well.
yeah, totally.
um yeah.
It's you are doing a service to swimming, but those programs too, to showcase that. Because I remember us even talking about it at NC State. It's like it's great that we have like something like Practice and Pancakes that Swim Swam and Coleman does. But they're going to showcase the big universities, typically the big programs, and there's so many great coaches and programs beyond just the Power Four, Power Five stuff. So
Yeah,
I think I don't know.
obviously, like I think like a big company will definitely be a little more for profit, right? They're trying to
Yeah,
go somewhere that they're going to have some return in clicks and
totally.
sponsors. But my goal is basically showing that, for example, um sometimes if you're a kid that swims, we had this happen. I coach this little project at NC State that we called the Speed Force. And we had one of our athletes. She asked me one day, I was like, she's really good. And I asked her, I was
Mm,
like, hey, like, how are we looking for colleges? Like, she's about 15, 16. And I asked her, I was like, hey, what about college? Like, are you thinking about swimming in college and all of that? And she's like, oh, no, the school that I want to go to is probably doesn't have a swim team. And I was like, where do you want to go to? And she wants to go to, let me not say it, but
yeah,
um,
keep it out.
then yeah, I'll just for recruiting purposes. But she told me the school, and I was like, wait, I know the head coach. Like they have an actually good swim program. The head coach is really good. Like he knows what he's doing.
Mm,
You've interviewed him on this podcast, but
okay.
I was like, I know the head coach. Let me give him a message. So send him a text. He's like, wow, she would be perfect here. And I think they even have a little bit of like scholarship money.
Mm,
Ended up that like she went on a trip, loved it, and like fast forward a year later, like I think she's committed to go there to swim. And like she was gonna go there to school anyways, but didn't know because I think they're NAIA, and she didn't know what NAIA was. So like we kind of had to educate her. So I'm like, wow, like imagine if I'm going around these programs, visiting my friends and letting them like showcase everything, just so kids understand that you don't have, like I said, same idea with the clinics. You don't have to be an Olympic champion to be a swimmer for life, right?
no.
Like, and I go to masters meets, I swim masters, and I have fun with it. And you go to these meets and you realize that there's people breaking world records at 100 years old, like 90 years old. And it's like you can be a lifelong swimmer. Don't sell yourself short, right? Especially
Mm,
nowadays, like there's so many resources as far as like recovery and all of that. Like just have fun with the
yeah,
sport. And just like there's so much community being built around the sport. But yeah.
totally. Yeah. What have you learned from going around and doing these vlogs? Like, obviously, you're making stops at different levels, whether that's mid-major Division One or an elite level club, high performance. But like, what are things that really stick with you when you kind of leave these programs as you edit the vlogs and kind of go through it?
I think the biggest like takeaway, it's been like, and it's funny for me to, as an outsider, to kind of like see, it's like everyone has their own systems, right? Everyone
Hmm,
has
hmm.
kind of like the way that they do things. And it's funny to watch how like, and I love this. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but everyone is so confident in what they're doing. And sometimes what they're doing is so different, right? Like from that first vlog with Scott at
Hmm.
VMI, I'm like, hey, what are we doing today? Is that he's giving me the whole breakdown of the practice, and he's like, this is what they're gonna do, this is where we're at in the season, and this is what I want to tackle. To like now going to UCSD, hey, we have mid-season next week. This is what I'm trying to achieve. This is kind of like the goal of
Mm.
the program. Um, Coaches are so confident and like that. I feed off that energy. Like I love that. And that's why I like to stay curious, like going back to that, because I can go, and another thing, a lot of people are doing some of the same work, obviously different levels,
Yeah.
but the work that Victor, it's that vlog's not out yet, but like the work that
Hmm.
Victor was doing at Midland, which is an NAIA school, to the work that maybe like UCSD or CSTE, the club team, was doing. Very similar mindsets, and everyone's like the coaches are extremely confident. The I think the determining factor for the success of those programs is that confidence that comes from the
Mm.
coaches. Um, because as far as like the actual work, like that's why it's important to be curious, because maybe they're doing things slightly different, and maybe some of them are more scientifically correct than the others. But at the end of the day, like it's like I said earlier, like you might know the science, but you got to coach the reality that's in front of you. And
Yeah.
so the only way to figure it out what's right and what's wrong is by doing it.
Mm.
So I love going around and picking this coach's brains, and most importantly how they connect with the crew, that the ship that they're running, right?
They're steering. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, like you might know a lot of the science, but like if you don't know how to connect with your athletes,
Doesn't
it
matter.
might not work very well. So that has been like the most fun for me to see, and different approaches as well. Like I know Sean at ASB, completely different approach, right? He's coaching 5 to 6 older athletes. Like they all have been there, done that at the Olympics. Some of them are Olympic medalists, and it's kind of more, and he's like about the same age. Like I think Sean is 31, 32, Santos
Yeah.
30,
Yeah.
31. Like Calving is same thing, and Marina is same thing. So like it's a lot more kind of uh like the approach that they have, it's a little like Sean obviously knows a lot of the science, and a lot of like he's already being disruptive in that way, but at the same time he's getting a lot of feedback of like, hey Santa, what do you think works well for you? Calvin, what do you
Right.
think worked well for you? And how do you think we can do this based off your guys' schedule, based off like your goals and your needs? Whereas for Sam, for example, I did both in the same week, which was fun because I went to train with the pros and Olympic medalists, and then the 2 days later I went to vlog Sam's group, and
Hmm.
he's a head coach that just took over, and they're like middle school, high schoolers, right? Like they have no say in what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's fun. It's been a cool like learning thing as well, just to pick other coaches' brains.
Totally. Yeah. What I'm hearing is that the confidence that a coach brings to the table is crucial, because if you go in with a plan and you believe in that plan and you deliver it with confidence, that will translate to your athletes, and that will
Yeah.
translate to the people around you, because it's okay to question yourself and at times and what you're doing, but if you're confident in your plan and it's backed with the science, then the art form of coaching can take over and you can connect with your athletes and go with
Yep.
what you have in front of you. Yeah, I love it. I was having this conversation earlier with another one of our coaches, saying again, like how much of it is science and how much of it is art, and it keeps coming back to it's both, but because like the more science, we'll call it that as a broad term, like the more science that you have to inform your coaching is good, but to structure that plan, season plan, a daily plan, but it is an art form at the end of the day, because you don't like you at the clinics, you don't know who you're going to get. Like, so you could have a plan going into it, but it could get scrapped because you're like, hey, they can't handle this, or
Yeah.
they're not able to
Yeah.
jump enough off of the front foot for them to do a one-legged dive. So I got to scrap that. So
Yeah.
it is cool though. And you being able to go around and be around people like that, I think is inspiring for sure. And so that's cool. So you're going to keep doing these vlogs. Yeah, check those out because I've watched several of them already, and they're great. I liked
Thank you.
what was it at the UCSD? Instead of doing like sprint, mid, and distance, they call it something else. I caught that. I didn't finish
Yeah.
the vlog, but they like to frame it as something different.
Yeah. I think they have three different names, and it's just basically the school's colors.
Okay,
Yeah, it's yellow, gold, and blue.
and blue. Okay,
I think yellow is sprint, gold is mid distance, and blue. I think
blue
every
is just
school has like a little variation of that. I know that at NC State, that's what we used to do as well. Red,
school
black,
colors.
and
Yep.
white. Yeah. For a while they
Right.
had pink, and then pink just kind of disappeared this year. But
Mm.
yeah, so it just, I don't know. Like, I think that's a
Yeah,
cool way
different
as well.
language.
Like, yeah, at Ball State, we did have different names as well. When I coached there, we had Thunder, X, and oh God, Thunder was sprint,
Yep.
X was distance, and Fire was mid distance. And the way
Nice.
that my boss Jay liked to say it was like, Fire is just like that slow burn, and it's like the mid distance, and
Mm.
Thunder is just thunder.
Boom.
And
Sprint.
yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that's a fun, and that's again like that's every team is gonna have their own intricacies
Their
like
own way.
that. I know that our one of my mentors at NC State as well, Coach Dan Kessler. I think
Mm.
he took this from Bowman, maybe, but he used like the fruits, like
Oh, the fruits. Yeah, yeah, the
yeah,
fruits.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
I've seen
remember
him using it a couple of
hearing that.
times, like oranges, whatever, peach. I forgot, but yeah,
Yep.
I mean, everyone has their own intricacy to kind of like make it a little more fun for the athletes as well.
Right, right. Yeah. Make it unique to your program. I think it's good.
Yeah,
Um, and then what I wanted to know, like, because you have your own kind of business, kind of self-promoting, you as a coach, and you're constantly having to evolve too, as is anyone, but like there comes challenges with that. Like what does that look like for those who might not really have an idea? Like what are some of the challenges you face as kind of an entrepreneur or someone who's trying to self promote, put themselves out there? What does that look like?
I think the biggest thing is obviously like monetizing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I get like throughout the past years, like as I grow a little bit of my online presence and Instagram, like I've been very consistent, right? Like I post every day. I have, a plan to post every day. And it's funny because a lot of people think like, oh, so you make a lot of money, right? Like you have a lot of followers and like you post every day, you post all the time. So it's like, you know, I'm like, no, like that's not what makes money, right? Like the
Mm,
posts, it's cool and yeah, like I want to share and I want to provide value for my
yeah.
audience, but you need to have a plan, like as far as like being a swim coach entrepreneur, like online, like you have to have a plan of like, okay, maybe you can get the attention, but what are you selling, right? Like there's always a catch.
Yeah.
I try not to be too, like I don't sell a course, I don't sell anything. I started putting out things because people were asking a lot, so I saw kind of like the need as I grew my business online, and it was more like, people asking me like, "Oh, what do you think? Like sprint set? Give me a couple of sprint sets that you like. Give me, like a gym workout, like a 4-week program that you like." And so then I started going like, all right, like I'll make an ebook with, my favorite sprint sets that I've done in the past. I'll make a program. I'll
Mm,
make something more self-guided for masters athletes. So then I kind of started like turning a little more into a business. But yeah, it's, I think the most challenging thing is to actually get people to purchase or to support your work, right? When you
Yeah.
go and you see my videos sometimes, and I get a little annoyed at this. Sometimes I'll post a drill. I'll be doing a drill with a private lesson athlete or like a college athlete,
Yeah.
and they execute it perfect, and I'm like, all right, like this is gonna work out great. And I film it and I post it, right? You see a lot of times you see, I'm just gonna use random numbers, but like 200 shares, because Instagram shows like how many
Yeah.
shares,
How many shares? Yep.
and 100 likes. So a lot, and like, so a lot, and like, let's say I've had videos with like 2 million views
Mm.
and 1,000 likes. I'm not complaining about the likes, but it's like it goes to show that like a lot of people like to take, and like I've had people contact me asking me to post about something or to position myself about some things. They didn't even follow me, and they DM me like, "Hey, I love your content. I love what you're doing," but they don't even follow me. So I'm like, "Wow, you
Sure.
love my content so much. You're probably a coach somewhere, you know, and you're just going to my profiles, getting some of my drills, getting some of the sets. You're requiring me to post more. You're requiring me to give more free swim sets, and
Mm.
you're not even following me. You're not even leaving a like on my videos." So I think to me, like as far as like the difficulties is like getting that engagement and having people understand that like if I'm selling an ebook for 20, 30, 40 bucks, I don't want to be a millionaire. It would be awesome to be a millionaire, but it's kind of like just to support the content to keep coming, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
this the vlogs that I've done so far are pretty easy for me right now because they're kind of like around here, or I traveled already and I kind of like was able to like put it together. But I'm
Mm.
sure that it's going to get to a point maybe in a couple weeks or months that I'm going to have probably vlogged all the teams in my area and all the teams that I travel, and then it's going to start becoming more difficult for me to go vlog somewhere. And I've had already people contact me like, "Hey, I'm a head coach at this club here." There was a coach in Utah that texted me and he's like, "Hey, I would love for you to come do a vlog with us." I'm like, "I would love to fly there and do a vlog or even drive there, right?" Like, and I'm pretty far from Utah. Said I would drive there. I'll make it work. Like I'll try to keep it cheap, but like these are the cheapest flight options. This is the cheapest hotel, and like a little fee just for food and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh, that's so out." Like, no, but like, what about if we post it in our account and promote your account? I'm like, all right. So
How am I going to
that's kind
survive
of
with
like the
that?
hardest part. It's like people want to take. But I can't complain like
Yeah.
about that because I've had amazing support, especially from different companies that I've worked with the past years. Like the 4 major companies that I've worked with, like for a couple years now, Finis, SwimSmart, Dastro,
Yeah.
and C4 energy drinks.
Mm.
Like they've supported me very very well for content production wise, and so I can't complain. Like I do have a couple of sponsors that believed in me, like Finis and SwimSmart. They both like send me products, and anything I've ever asked from them, like they helped me with. And this is since I had maybe 1,000 followers, right? Like
Mm.
right now I have I think 35,000, but they've been there since like my first when I first started
Beginning.
my Instagram. They kind of believed in me, and so I'm extremely thankful for that. But yeah, it's a tough journey, but I couldn't do it any other way. So that's what I kind of try to do, like with my Instagrams. I not only like sell like books or equipment. It's mostly like a portfolio for private lessons,
Yeah.
coaches contacting me for swim clinics. I've worked with like video analysis online. I have online athletes all over the world as well,
Mm.
which is pretty cool that I do like personalized programs. So
Yeah,
it's the
that's
Instagram.
a full-time grind. Like that is a
Yeah,
full-time
but you
grind.
never know, right? Like you never know when the client is going to say, all right, something's going on and I can't afford a trainer anymore. And so
Right.
I am trying to establish a little more like kind of like consistent
Consistency.
things, like some consistency as far as like having a group or like a membership type of program.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now I'm just kind of like focusing on the clinics and all of that, and that's kind of like the hardest part because some months are really good, some months are really bad, so you never
Right.
know. But
Yeah. But it's great because what I see, I mean, I've been following your channel and you, I think, as a coach, as a person, since we connected almost 2 years ago, and you do evolve, you do grow. I think you're someone who finds ways to look for people to connect with, staying curious, and for anyone, I mean, even for someone like me, it's helpful to see that because it's like, hey, there is a way to keep growing this, and that's the only way to do it, right? Like if you're not working for a company necessarily and you're working for yourself, it's adapt or
survival.
die. It's survival. It's adapt or die. I was talking to
Yeah,
Sean about it yesterday, and he was like, yeah, I mean, it's lonely. He's like, dude, entrepreneurship is lonely. Like it can be, and it's demanding. He's like, it's hard, to take breaks. I feel like I have to have a laundry list of to dos every day because
yeah,
otherwise I feel like the day can be a failure. And
yeah,
he's like, and to me, it's like it's hard. It's misery sometimes, but also, this is the path that I
yeah,
chose, and I have no other option than to make it work. And I was like, yeah,
yeah.
i- if that's your
It's
choice,
kind of I've worked corporate. As soon as I graduated college, I wanted nothing to do with swimming, and I worked in
Mm,
kind of like a corporate uh, environment for 2 years. And yeah, and that's what I figured out. I
is
figured out
not
that
it.
yeah, like I can make this set amount of money here. Growth takes forever.
Mm,
I can't explore much of like my actual strengths. If I believe in something that or some if I believe that one of the processes of the company needs to change, it has to go up so many kind of like steps on the ladder, and they're never gonna hear me. And
yeah,
so to me, it was always like, all right, not for me. I've always been very like entrepreneurial, and I've always been very like kind of like black sheep, like to do my own thing, my own ways. And so it was luckily it was an easy transition as far as like realizing what path I needed to follow, but obviously very difficult because it is harder. It is a
yeah,
lot of like, sleepless nights and edit like last night I edited the vlog until 2 a.m. and I had to wake up at 6 a.m. with my wife when she went to work and got working as well. So it
right.
was the time that I had because when I was by myself, probably a little different, probably a little easier even. But now being married and living with someone and having that relationship, it's like, whereas before I would have dinner in front of the computer, I'd come home from practice, have dinner in front of the computer and work on my stuff until maybe midnight. Now it's like, okay, I have to help my wife clean the kitchen. I have to
Mm,
hang out with her for a little bit. I have to make sure that everything's good. And
yeah,
then
looks a
maybe
little
at
different.
9:30 when she goes to bed, I go to the computer and then I start working again. So
Right.
yeah, so there's
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
like pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it's what we love to do.
for sure. Yeah. Well, we'll take this to our kind of our announcement. Yeah, well, you want to share what has been recently developing?
Yeah. So me and Seamus are gonna be hosting a couple of episodes together. I'm very excited to be co-host of the Get Out Swim podcast.
Hell yeah.
It's definitely a medium that I struggle with, but I'll probably be learning a lot on how to interview and how to talk to guests. But
For sure. You're gonna
yeah,
be
no, so
great.
we're excited. It's exciting times. We're gonna be doing this for our sponsor SwimSmart. So like I mentioned before, it's a company that I've worked with in the past. So SwimSmart's going to be sponsoring a couple of the episodes uh, of the podcast, and I'll be joining in as a co-host. Yeah, just hopefully we get some good questions or good answers out of our guests.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, yeah, I'm stoked. I think you're going to be someone who is going to be an asset to the podcast. You have great connections, and also you can bring a different side to interviewing, and it just adds to the conversation. I think having another person on here, so I think it's going to be great. You guys should tune in, and yeah, more to come. More is in store. So we're evolving. So
Yep.
um, but yeah, awesome. So Joao, thanks for doing this. Thanks for hopping on again. Round two of the pod. And yeah, I know we've kind of done the get out swim story, but is there any like exciting swim that you got to see? Maybe it's a get out swim recently that you want to share from maybe these clinics or the vlogs.
Yeah. I think just being at NC State the past 2 years, like I saw so many of those, like so many, like, if I get up on the block and do this right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and just to see how like Coach Braden, you know, kind of like buys into that idea. There's definitely times that he doesn't, but it was pretty exciting to see some of the fastest athletes in the world. Like I've seen for example, Q McCarthy, American champion in a 50 back doing some really cool stuff. I've seen, Jerry Fox doing a lot of really cool stuff at the end of practice. So Sam Hoover, if I don't mention Sam, he's going to be
Mm.
pretty mad at me. But yeah, no, really fun. I don't have any new stories as far as like my end, but yeah, I'm just kind of like wanted to finish out with like some thoughts on you know if you're someone that loves swimming, and if you're someone
Mm.
that has a kid that swims, or you're a coach, try to share this podcast, try to share content with the kids. If you see something online that you think is you know that would instigate curiosity, or you think it's cool and make swim fun, try different drills. Try something that the kids have to be a little more disruptive. Maybe it's not going to make sense as far as science, but I guarantee you, like, it's going to get so much buy-in from those kids, and kind of like extend their career in the sport. And that's what we need right now. So kind of like the goal, like most of the drills that I post are disruptive, and things that I know are going to
Mm.
catch attention. And it's because of that. It's because I want people to see stuff like that and go, wow, like, why are swimmers doing this? And
Yeah.
so if you're a coach, if you're a parent, if you're a kid, like, if you're a kid, ask questions. If you're a parent, tell your kid to ask questions. But and if you're a coach, like, try to be disruptive, try to make swimming fun again. Uh, just because we desperately need it right now. And so for content like this, leave a like, comment,
Mm.
share, subscribe to the channel, because it helps us on the other end a lot. So
Yeah. Totally. What does swimming smart mean to you, Joao?
swimming smart, I think, is treating the whole kind of like environment as something that needs to be a little more closely looked at. So, for example, I don't only show up to the pool and try to think of my performance that day. Um, I personally like look at how's my nutrition going, how's my sleep going, is as far as periodization, like, is everything correct? Like, is the workout that I'm doing today going to make sense in regards to where I'm at in my season, and how I'm treating, where I'm competing. So like that word, like, smart, can mean so many things.
Mm.
Like, the way I like to view it is like being smart in every little part of the sport, not just when you're in the water at your final meet of the season, but
Yeah.
being smart in training, being smart in the decisions you make outside of the pool, being smart in the way you treat your teammates, being smart in how you're fueling your body, and with not only food but like content and things that you're watching. So,
Mm,
and then at the same time, like, to get a little more specific, yeah, like being curious about the sport, what equipments are going to help me uh get a little more, a little extra out of this session. Do I need to be using parachutes more? Do I need to be using stretch cords more? Do I need to be using paddles? Do I need to be using fins? It's just like being smart in in relationship to what your goals are. I
mm,
think that's kind of like the approach that I take to that, like being swimming smart and being smart. Because I feel like a lot of times it just gets confused with like doing less, and that's kind of like
yeah.
not the idea, right? Like when people say like train smarter, not harder, it's not just like training less. You still need to train hard, you still need to swim hard, right? Like, but it's more about, all right, like, are we doing things in a way that is going to make sense in relationship to my goals? Because what if my goals
Yes.
are to just swim twice a week for health for the rest of my life, right? Am I being smart with the way that I'm lifting weights, or am I going to hurt myself and not be able to swim 2 days a week for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into like being smart, and so everyone's going to have a little tweak to what they should be
That
doing to
means
be
for them.
smart,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It means different
but
things for different people.
different
Yeah.
things for different people. But at the end of the day, I think like one way to summarize it is to like pay attention and be curious, right?
Mm,
About every part of the process of swimming for you.
totally. Yeah. I love it. Love it. Swim smart. Uh, Swimming smart means different things to different people, and it's important to question what that means to you. What is living smart, swimming smart? What does that mean to you? Um, but thanks for sharing, Zhao. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to get you back on this moving forward. And we're gonna do some big things, and hopefully you guys just keep tuning in,
I'm excited.
my man. All right, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Peace.